Welcome to Wormwood, and this is an extraordinary plant used by many different cultures, and we have both the Western varieties and we have the Eastern traditional Chinese medicine varieties. So we're going to take a look at these. There's probably about 180 different species, and not all of them are medicinal by a long shot. So we're going to look at some of those that you're more likely to run into and that are medicinal. And one of the most common varieties in the West is Artemisia absinthe, and you may recognize that from the drink absinthe. And there's also Artemisia vulgaris, and this is the commonly used herb for making vermouth. There is an Artemisia mexicana, that's also known as white sagebrush, and it's worn by women in Mexico during the festival of the goddess of salt. And you also have an Artemisia annua, and that is Qinghua, and that's famous in China. That's the Eastern variety that is very effective for treating malaria and malaria type diseases. It's also really good for treating skin fungus, such as athlete's foot. So this is an important herb to know about in these various varieties, and you can see how they already start to kind of be a little different. So we're going to look first, let's look at these Western, and all together the wormwood plants, the Artemisias, they're known for being really bitter, very bitter, and cold. So this gives them an ability to aid digestion, cleanse the system, kind of move things out if they're getting too hot and heated up. So it's very colder, bitter, and the Western varieties have this astringent quality to them, commonly known as wormwood. So you have your common wormwood, that's your Artemisia absinthium or Artemisia vulgaris, and you have your Roman wormwood, which is Artemisia pontica, sometimes also called European wormwood, and it's really, again, often called bitterweed. There's a Roman worm, it's also sometimes called Roman wormwood. The Roman wormwood is probably the most delicate, least powerful of all the wormwoods, and again, that's Artemisia pontica. There's a sea wormwood that's Artemisia maritima, big surprise in its name, sometimes called old woman, and it's considered to be particularly useful for increasing the appetite. So you see there's some nuances between these. I want you to be aware of some of those names that you're going to more commonly run into. In traditional Chinese medicine, in the East, the most popular, of course, is Qinghua, which is Artemisia annua. And just to first focus on the Western variety, what we would call common wormwood, that particular variety is known for clearing heat, transforming dampness, strengthening the stomach and spleen functions, promoting urination, enhancing labor, clearing toxins. So it's going to stimulate the appetite, prevent cramping, ease fatigue, treat anemia, edema, urinary difficulties, vomiting, bloating, seasickness. It can stimulate the appetite, help with gas, urinary difficulties, difficult births, of course, we just said that. So that's your common wormwood. That's your Artemisia absinthium, right? The Western variety. Now the Eastern variety, which is known as sweet wormwood, which is your Artemisia annua, otherwise known as Qinghua, clears what we call summer heat. And this is not just something that happens in the summer, though it could, when people are standing around and they just start passing out, summer heat. But it can happen at concerts or inside crowded halls where somebody becomes overheated. That's all kind of put under the category of summer heat. Too much, too fast, the system is overwhelmed. This is a good herb for it, the Chinese variety of Artemisia annua. It also clears fevers due to deficiency, cools blood, helps stop bleeding, can treat malarial disorders. It's very, very good at that. So this is one where you've got that summer heat with a headache, you've been out too long, exposed to the sun, you're feeling dizzy, maybe even potential fever, could be vomiting, could get that stifling feeling in the chest, or you could have fever due to blood deficiency, nights fevers, but there's no sweating involved. So you see the nuances with this Chinese variety. It's great. The rashes, where you get purpuric rashes, where you get little red spots coming out. Again, you can see heat in the blood. It's just too much. Nosebleeds due to heat, alternating chills and fevers kind of disorders. It's kind of one of your, kind of can be a malarial sign, if you will. And one of the largest research efforts for any Chinese herb was done to study this herb, Artemisia annua, sweet wormwood, otherwise known as Qinghua. And in general, this is not one that you decoct for a long time. This is one that you come in and make good use of it, and you're done. So you don't have to squeeze the life out of it. So there you have it. There's some really differences between the Western varieties. Certainly Qinghua is very famous in traditional Chinese medicine. And you want to pay attention to some of those botanical names so you know what you're using. And not all wormwoods are medicinal. So pay attention.